Hey kiddos, welcome to today's Amazing Words. We are going to be reading the story called A Symphony of Whales. So let's go ahead and get started today with our new Amazing Words. So do you know what this word says? This word says starvation. So please say starvation. All right kiddos, do you know what that means? Do you know what starvation means? Well, the word starvation means you're not being given food. Okay, so people who don't get food, they would be having starvation. So starvation is something that is serious. Now, you can also have an animal not be given enough food. So how can you save an animal from starvation? Well, maybe you call the Humane Society. The Humane Society is a place that takes in stray animals that may need to be fed. Maybe if you get permission from your families to put some food out to help save that animal from starvation. All of those things would be ways to help an animal from starvation. Now, can starvation affect people too? Can people not be given enough food? Yes, of course. There's actually people in our own community who are fighting starvation, meaning they're not being given enough food. These are children in Africa who are having starvation. They are not being given enough food. Africa is one of the poorest continents in our whole world, and those people very rarely may get even one meal a day. So there are kids right now who are fighting starvation. All right, kiddos, what would be an antonym for starvation? An antonym is a word that is the opposite. So what would be the opposite of not being given food? Maybe abundant. If something is abundant, it's more than enough. So I am getting more than I need. That could be an antonym for starvation. All right, kiddos, please say the word starvation. All right, let's go ahead and learn our next word. Do you know what this word is? This word is prohibit. Please say prohibit. Do you know what prohibit means? The word prohibit means to not allow. Prohibit oftentimes can look like this. This is a sign that means it is prohibited or it's not allowed. So the word prohibit means not allowed. All right, kiddos. What does it mean if the law prohibits smoking? Well, it means that smoking is not allowed. So prohibit means to not allow something. What are things that schools prohibit? Well, you can't run through the hallway. You're not allowed to push and shove. You're not allowed to be mean to others. You're not allowed to bring weapons to school. All of those things would be prohibited in school. All right, kiddos, say the word prohibit. Good job. Let's move on to our next word. Do you know what this word says? This word says conservation. Say conservation. Do you know what conservation means? The word conservation means protecting things in nature. So if I am conserving something, I am protecting it because it is in nature. So these scientists look like they're preserving nature. They're studying the plants and the animals. Maybe you can conserve water. That would be a way to protect nature. Or you conserve the trees. That is conservation. So conservation is just protecting nature. Why is conservation of nature important? Well, if we don't protect the things in nature, they can eventually go away. Have you ever seen the movie The Lorax? When the person cuts down all of the trees, the trees in that area? Well, they cut them down and then the whole place, all the animals leave and the place becomes dark and gloomy. So we must conserve nature because things can disappear if we don't protect them. What kind of things can we conserve? Well, you can conserve your water. Instead of taking a 20-minute shower, maybe you only take a 10-minute shower. Can I conserve animals outside? Absolutely, right? So I could help the deer population by not killing very many deer. Those are all things that we can conserve. All right, kiddos, please say the word conservation. Good job. All right, let's learn our next word. Do you know what this word says? This word says biologist. Can you say biologist? Very good job. Do you know what a biologist is? A biologist is a scientist who studies living things. So a biologist goes and studies anything in nature that is living. What kind of tools would a biologist use? So if you were a scientist who studied living things, what might you use? Well, I may use a microscope to study things that are very small. I might use a telescope to see things that are very far away. Maybe I would use a flashlight to look for things that are in the dark. What other kind of tools do you think a biologist might use? All right, kiddos, these are scientists who are studying polar bears. Now, polar bear is not dead. He has been given something that is called a tranquilizer to put him to sleep. The scientists may be doing several things. Maybe the polar bear is sick and they need to figure out why it is sick. Maybe they are putting a chip in the polar bear to track him or putting a tracking device on him to track him. So they have not hurt the polar bear. He will eventually wake up. But biologists study any type of living thing. This biologist is studying sharks. This biologist is called a marine biologist. A marine biologist is something that studies things in the ocean. So they are studying sharks. This scientist or biologist is studying plants. Biologists study anything that is living. So biologists can also study plants. This biologist is studying penguins. Remember, a biologist is a scientist who studies living things. So this scientist studies penguins. All right, kiddos, please say the word biologist. Very good. Let's say all of our words together. Here we go. Starvation, prohibit, conservation, biologist. Very good. I'll see you tomorrow to learn 2 new amazing words.